So this is the Samsung S20 FE. The FE obviously stands for Fan Edition. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party here because Samsung released this back in October. But yeah, I've had the chance to spend about 2, almost 3 weeks with the phone, and I have to say, I love it. Okay, so of course we're going to talk about the specs first. Alright, so this has the flagship chip, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865, only topped by maybe the 865 Plus at the moment. You get 8GB of RAM. As terms of storage, you actually get two options. You get the 128GB of storage or the 256GB of storage. The pricing of course differs, which we will talk about later. Now you also get a Full HD Plus Super AMOLED screen, which is beautiful, and again we'll talk about that later. Supports Wi-Fi 6 and has a 4500 mAh battery. So the phone also has Android 10 with Samsung's own One UI 2.5. But not just that, so Samsung has also promised updates for the next 3 generations of Android operating system, which is fantastic. Now in terms of the design, like I said, I really like it. Let's first talk about the screen, alright? So like I said, it's a Full HD Plus screen. It's a 6.5-inch panel. It's a Super AMOLED panel. But also, not just that, also it has a refresh rate of 120Hz, so you get that same buttery smooth goodness. Now even though it's only a Full HD Plus display, I really like it. The colors are really vibrant. You can't tell, honestly, at a screen this size, whether it's Full HD or 4K or even 2K, you really can't tell the difference anyway. So in terms of resolution, I think that's pretty much the sweet spot. Now, another 2 things I love about this phone. Number 1, it has a flat screen. Okay, so my current daily driver is the Samsung Note 10 Plus that has a curved screen, and honestly, I'm quite annoyed at it. I'm very glad that Samsung has gone to a flat screen. But not only that, it actually has a thicker bezel than what you might expect from some of the more pricier phones, but honestly, I actually prefer it. You get 0 accidental touches when you're watching shows and all that. You don't get something popping up because your palm accidentally touched something on the screen, so I have absolutely no problems with it. Now you actually get a plastic back, unlike the S20, which I think had a glass back. It has a matte finish, although having a matte finish I think is really weird that it still is a huge fingerprint magnet. But I mean, if you're all going to be honest, no one actually walks around without putting a case on the phone anyway. Now this also has an in-screen fingerprint sensor, which I really like. It's really snappy, unlike my Note 10 Plus. But yeah, no complaints on that as well. Now in terms of camera, at the back you get 3 camera modules. So you get a 12 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto lens. Now at the front, you get a 32 megapixel selfie camera, but also one of the smallest punch hole cameras that I've ever seen. Now the camera on the S20 FE is supposed to be sort of a step down from the regular S20 and like the 20 Plus and the 20 Ultra. But honestly, I really like the camera. It didn't feel like a step down. Now, obviously in daylight situations, a lot of phone cameras are already really good at it, and this is no different. I love a lot of the shots in daylight, but man, this really shines in some of the night shots. It's fantastic. Now this phone takes excellent night shots, so good to the point that I feel like the night mode isn't really that useful unless you're in like super dark situations. Now it actually takes better night shots than my Samsung Note 10 Plus, and that's like slightly more than a year old. So I had a lot of opportunity to take night shots on it. The first one was in the Marina Bay Sands. We had a staycation with my wife. I had a really good view, so I took a lot of pictures and some videos as well. Now do note that these pictures and videos were taken behind a huge, like a glass wall full of smudges, alright? So you're gonna see some blur parts on that, but this camera is absolutely fantastic. I love the shots, they were really beautiful. And also, like, you know, taking shots of like food and also it was really good. But also recently I went and had dinner at the Botanical Gardens in Singapore, and I took some night shots there as well, and I have to say it was some of like the most beautiful night shot pictures I have ever taken. But of course, you do have the same struggles here as a lot of phones. Now, when it comes to night shots, you don't get the same sort of uniformity with the different lenses that you do during daytime. So like in terms of night mode shots, they're not as good on the ultra wide. The colors also seem to be a little different. But yeah, in terms of the main camera, I absolutely love it. That telephoto lens though, I'm not sure it's even necessary. Like taking a photo with the telephoto lens and taking a photo with the main lens and then zooming in, I honestly couldn't tell that much of a difference. So I don't really see a point of the 8 megapixel telephoto lens. But all in all, whether you're taking photos, whether it's just everyday use on the phone, or even playing games, watching shows, everything has been an absolute delight, and I haven't had a single complaint so far. So the 128GB variant comes in at about 1,098 Singapore dollars, or the 256GB variant, which comes in at 1,168 Singapore dollars. Now, before I talk about whether I would recommend this phone or not, I want to talk more about this whole fan edition category that Samsung has just created. Now, I mean, Samsung has come out and said that the reason that they created this phone is because they've listened to us, or like to their fans, you know, and taken their advice and really come up with a phone that people have asked for. Now, as true as that may be, I also feel like there might be some other reasons for it. Now, the Samsung S20 FE was released in the US and some other countries back in October, alright, for about $699 US. Now, 2 weeks later, Google released the Pixel 5 for $699 US. A week after that, OnePlus released the OnePlus 8T for, well, $699 US. So yeah, I think Samsung basically wanted to create a phone at almost every single price category. They have a ton of phones with a ton of different prices, and so this fills another price category. I mean, this first of all blows the Google Pixel 5 out of the water in terms of specs and in terms of camera as well. I mean, the Google Pixel has been known for good cameras for a while, but I feel like they've rested on their laurels a bit too much and some of their competitors have overtaken them already. And then you got the OnePlus 8T, very similar specs, also has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865, it's also a Full HD screen, also AMOLED, also 120Hz, you know. But in terms of photo taking, I actually did review the OnePlus 8T very recently, and I also like that as well, but that was before I reviewed this, and I would have to say, in terms of camera, the Samsung wins it. And of course, you get that Samsung promise of 3 generations of updates, coupled with an excellent battery, 4,500 milliamps. It lasted me on average use about 2 days. So to summarize, I would say the Samsung S20 FE at this price range right now is the one to beat. Alright, so that about wraps up my review of the Samsung S20 FE. Now, if you like this video, you know what to do, and I would love it if you would subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications on our next video. I'm JP, and I'll see you real soon.